yeah, I'd like to know what attracted you to composition.
Yeah, it's a funny story that I started as a pianist. I've always been musical as long as I can remember, but I was studying piano with a guy named Sam Ekoff, who was he still is a composer and a pianist. And so when he had piano students, he had to we were required to take theory lessons in addition to piano. And as part of theory lessons, we were forced to compose a piece a year. And this is when I was 8 years old, and I hated it at first. I was not drawn to composing at all, but it was a requirement. And gradually it kind of grew on me. And I soon found myself, I couldn't stand to practice for 5 hours a day, but I could compose for 5 hours a day, no problem, So it was just kind of this gradual awareness of, maybe I'm more, and by the time I got into high school, it was my priorities had definitely started leaning. And there were some people that really encouraged. I mean, Stephen Stuckey, mentioning him, when I had a lesson with him in 2015, he was one of the first big composers that I admire that saw my music and said, you should really do this, so that it was a mix of that, of people kind of seeing that in me and me gradually being drawn towards it. And
having played and also listened to several of your works by now, since you won Dolce Suono Ensemble's Young Composers Competition in 2017, it's been great seeing how you have developed as a composer and in your career. But also just a question for you. Has your style changed, evolved, or consistently, or do you kind of try different styles in your pieces?
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I've been at school here at Vanderbilt for the last 4 years. So I'm exposed to a lot of different things. All my, peers in the music school are writing different types of music, and you meet more people and you try more things. And so, yeah, it's definitely evolved. I think, at the heart of my music is melody. And, I'm tonally rooted, but I've definitely come up with new ways of approaching that. I think probably one of the biggest things for me at school that I didn't realize that I hadn't fully delved into maybe in 2017 was counterpoint. I had never had counterpoint lessons before. So I'm starting to get into that a lot more now. And of course, it's a different deal when it's a solo flute piece, but just kind of more of an awareness of line and of motif and how that kind of all comes together. That's one way I think my music has maybe grown since 2017.
That's interesting, yeah. Which a great segue to glistening. We will include your program notes about it, but it would be great to have you speak a little bit about the piece.
Absolutely. So it's a short 2 minute, I think about 2 minute piece that I wrote. A friend of mine here at Vanderbilt, Helen Cho, she commissioned it for her junior recital, and it was a fun. She just said, I want a 2 minute piece. It's just supposed to be a quick little, kind of sparkler. And so I got thinking, okay, 2 minutes. What can I say in 2 minutes? I'm not going to do anything profound. I want it to be fun. I wanted it to be, light. And then I was thinking it was summer, but I was thinking of snow, being from Wisconsin. And so this kind of idea of just like the light bouncing off snow and just what that might sound like in musical terms was just kind of a jumping off point for me. There's not a programmatic kind of narrative that goes through the piece, but that was the inspiration. And then I think just formally with the piece, I wanted to do something that was very rhythmic and very, it sounded virtuosic. So I just kind of conceived basically three sections, one that was slower, emerging, centered around A, and then another one that was kind of, there's a bridge, the kaleidoscopic bit, and then boom, then it turns rhythmic, and that's the largest section, and then and towards the end it turns into the glistening, the eponymous high fluttery flute sound. So it was more just kind of, I want this sound and then this sound and then this sound and then this sound, and how do you string them together in a convincing way.
Yeah, and I would imagine a lot changes also from your conception and writing of the work to when you first hear it played by a performer. And that was actually something I wanted to ask you about. Are there surprises for you when that happens?
It's different. I don't play the flute, so I listen to a lot of flute music, and I have my orchestration textbooks and I read up on flutes, and but it's all kind of secondhand. So yeah, there certainly comes a point where what I hear in my head, what I may play on the piano, and certainly not what Finale plays back, but I have these input sources which are not the real thing. So it does change to a certain extent to hear you play it, and really beyond just another person's perspective on what the piece needs to do. I think the shocking thing is just what happened, where you said, well, actually I can do this. And then you take a section and I'm thinking it's impossible to play it like that. And then you just play it like a piece of cake. And I'm thinking, wow, okay, that is possible. I could have written that. I think that's the more shocking thing for me, and exciting.